Howdy folks, Grok the DuckFarmer here, and I'm on the FTOG, Feed the Beast Infinity Evolved Expert Mode server, and I didn't show the actual making of the, or setting up of the Ender Quarry, because I ran out of time, and I just wanted to get the episode out, but I'm standing on the Silk Touch upgrade for my Ender Quarry, and here's how I ended up setting this up here. So I've got the Ender Quarry itself, and I made these three Ender markers, and I put up these pillars of dirt here in the overworld. Well, this is not the overworld. This is the mining dimension. It's a flat dimension that we set up, and I started with a 3 chunk by 3 chunk area, and the dirt pillars is my notation that this has been mined. So if you want to do some manual mining here, you're gonna get dirt. That's it, because this quarry turns any block that it mines into dirt or grass on the top layer. And you can see over here where it's gone through and is working on this section right here. It's laying the pieces through here. And if we come right to this point, occasionally, yeah, you get this little glowy bit of ender particles. I guess it's not glowy, but it's ender particles. There we go. Some ender particles popping in, telling it this is the chunk, or the piece of the chunk. This will be the next one. There goes the particles, and it just converted and mined this section. So there's all these stone parts, because this is an extremes hill biome. But there's no hills. So these are the hills parts. Anyway, so it's going through processing that. So I started off with a 3 by 3, got that mined. I initially went through and I chopped down all the trees, and then I used a bucket of water to get rid of all the grass, because I thought the grass would get converted into dirt blocks. It doesn't. It completely ignores the little grass and plants on top. Then I did that 3 by 3 section, and right now I'm doing this 6 by 6 chunk section. And because I want the resources, and I've got the power, and let's do this. And I do like how we have golems running around here, even though there's no anything in here. There's no villages, there's no structures. Well, the only structures are the RFTools structures, and that's it. There's no dungeons, there's no mine shafts, there's no villages, there's no strongholds, none of that stuff. None. Anyway, so I put, if we take a look at the boundaries here, I decided this is the chunk that I'm chewing up, so I put it just on the other side of the boundary, because it chews it up on the inside of the markers, not inclusive of the markers themselves. And so I put it on the outside. Likewise, that's on the boundary over there, that's on the boundary over there. We'll get rid of this, and that defines the area that's going to get mined. So I put the quarry up against it. So there's one down there, one over here, and this guy here. And you can see the little lines showing that it's connected to them, because they're all lined up. I then put the Silk Touch upgrade next to it. And I've got a Tesseract that is both inputting and outputting items. Well, actually, it's doing everything: items, fluids, energy. But it supplies with energy, and it's pulling out the items. That's how I'm getting all the stuff here. So that's been running very nicely. You can also just right click this, and it'll tell you where it's mining and how many blocks have been mined up to this point. And that's all the blocks, inclusive, top to bottom through the thing. Anyway, let's go home. And it's been working very, very nicely. Now, one of the things that I've got some upgrades to these things, so I'm getting lots and lots of stone. I think I've maxed out my stone, and so the voiding is happening for stone. And yeah, I've got to clear my voice. It's early morning. I'm trying not to speak too loud. Anyway, so I have the Tesseract going into the Ender chest, with the Ender chest over here is pumping in the stuff. This is keeping up. This is keeping up, except I don't have dimensional shards or the beehives, the rock hive and a deep. These are just getting mined whole. So I've got lots and lots and lots of rocky bees, which is very, very nice. Let's put my armor back on. So that's what this is doing really here. As far as the ores, I had to slap some upgrades on here because I maxed out the ores pretty fast. I already did, no, I haven't since I started. I was down to like 2 diamond ore. So I've got 188 right now, which is much better. Emerald ore, for it being extreme hills, I thought I'd get a lot more emerald, which I'm not. 44, I had 2. So this is actually working out very nicely, but I had to slap some upgrades on here so that it didn't have some problems, which is working out very nicely. I did put some dimensional shards here, some bee stuff, but we're not going to talk about bees. Uh, I, let me through. Now, one thing that I did want to do, uh, I ended up going through and using a whole bunch of machine frames. I ended up using 12 of them, of the resonance. So I had to make them. And then I was down to 1. And I said, no, let's make a few more. Let's make a few more of these basics just for fun. And if we look at my power bank, I'm down a whole bunch, which I only do 344 coming in. This eats up about 100 to make scrap. How am I doing here? About 38,000 for there. But the processing of my quarry, which is about, I don't remember. This is 500 some, so 800 for the quarry. I'm using far more than I'm actually producing, which, as long as I got this massive battery and I don't run out of the power before I run out of the mining, I'm fine. Now, when I did the 3x3s, I had plenty of power in here, so that wasn't an issue. Now that I'm doing the 6x6, it's a big jump going from 9 chunks to 36 chunks. I may run out of power here. So the idea is to make more power. And I could do solar, but that only works during the day, and I really don't want to auto-craft that. I would like to have the UU matter use the scrap and make solar bits, and I would like that, but I'm not there yet. I could go into immersive engineering, and diesel would provide a decent amount of energy, but I'm going to do something that I've rarely done. And I'm going to go for a different power source. So down here is the water wheels. So why not move down here the power production? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Endergenic Generators from RFTools. And what these things do is they toss ender pearls around themselves, and I've got them labeled already here. Let's go up a little bit so you can see them. I already have them labeled to make it a little bit easier to see what's going on, but this is going to be the first one that's going to grab an ender pearl, and then it tosses it down here, which will toss it up here, which will toss it down there, which will toss it back up here, and you get this little figure 8 of ender pearls getting tossed around the system. That's very handy, and it will generate probably 12K of energy per tick, which is a decent amount of energy. Now, one of the things I need is a wrench of some sort, and since I've placed them in this order, I'm going to right click this guy, and then this is the source, and it says select another generator as destination. That's number 2, and it says it's 2 ticks away. Which is exactly what we're looking for. Number 2 is going to go to number 3, and that's 2 ticks. 3 is going to go to 4, and then 4 is going to go to 1 again. And they're all 2 ticks apart, which is exactly what we're looking for here. So I'm going to bump that off of there for right now. So that's the setting up of these. Here's the crafting chest, or the project chest. I made those 4 Endergenic generators. I also made 4 of these Ender monitors, and these are set up to pearl arrived. There's a pearl injector that pushes in, injects an ender pearl to an adjacent Endergenic generator when it gets a redstone signal. There's also from Mine Factory Reloaded, the programmable RedNet circuit. Oh, and it's already programmed. I'll have to unset that. Because yes, I've tested this already to make sure that it works. There's a timer set to 30 ticks, an RF monitor, and a whole bunch of cables. So let's grab all these bits here. And the first thing I'm going to drop down here, since we've got these in place, is the Ender monitor. And I'm facing them away from each of these guys. Nope. Wrong. Let's stand, be faster. And so you can see the orange piece is pointing out. And these are monitoring the generator. And if we look at them, there's several modes. You've lost a pearl, because after a while, if these generators aren't properly set to catch the ender pearl, they'll break. And so we want to carefully prep them for that. Plus, they will just naturally decay, which is a shame because then it stops producing power. But I don't care about lost pearl. I don't care about pearl firing. I care about pearl has arrived, because I need to send a signal at that. So they're all set that way. Pearl arrived. And we don't need these blocks to build off of anymore. Dump those into there. And so there's that first part. I'm going to put the pearl injector, if I'm standing right over here and looking at that one, the pearl injector is going into the first guy. And then here, I'm going to put it right here. This can go in any orientation, but I kind of like it looking at me, so I can see the circuits in there, and it's just cool looking. I'm just going to go with that. I am going to go into here and reinitialize. Why didn't you reinitialize and clear everything out? It didn't. Okay, I will... I thought that would blank everything out. I will go through all that later. The other thing I need is to set up some cables here. What I need to do is set up these cables so each time a pearl arrives to one of these generators, this will send out a signal. And then the signal will come back to the generator itself. Where's my wrench? I don't need... There, triple click, and that disappears. So this signal is wrapping back to itself, to the generator. So let's do that for each of these. Off and over, and oh, I gotta connect that spot right there. And then I clear this out, because that does nothing. And I don't want to have anything connected in weird ways that do nothing for me. All right, and you, 1, 2, 3. And this last one over here, you connecting over here, and clear you out. 1, 2, 3. So that clears out those guys. Now, I have this here, orange, number 2 is magenta, number 3 light blue, number 4 is yellow, because that's the colors of these tags. And if I hit, here's wool colors, and orange, magenta, light blue, yellow, that's the order in which those go. And if I hover over this, there's a number, 0035, that's because this is the 35th block, and 1. White being 0 because it's computer based, everything starts with 0. There's a 2, 3, etc., etc. So the numbers, or the colors here, are just number 1s. So if I hit this with my wrench once, there's orange. And if I come back over here and hit that again, orange. So 1 hit, that's orange. Down here, this is magenta, so that's 2. 1, 2, that gives me magenta. 1, 2, that's magenta. It doesn't matter what the colors are, but I'm just going to go with 1, 2, 3. There's the light blue. 1, 2, 3, there's the light blue. And so if we come over here and do 4, that gives me yellow. So that's because this is the 1, 2, 3, and 4 generators. I'm setting it up that way. That's just how I'm going to do it. So those are configured. I'm now going to put in here 6 of these conduits. Nothing needs to go here You can see it doesn't have a like an inputty sort of thing, because this is where it reads everything. It doesn't do individual colors, whereas these all are all individual colors. Now, these internal ones, they're communicating to each other. So when orange receives a pearl, it's going to signal back to itself, and that tells it to eject it, which is fine, but we need to make sure that this guy here is set into catching mode so it will grab it. So for that, I want to go ahead and make sure that this has a signal here for the next guy, which is magenta. So when this catches or when this gets the signal, it'll catch it anyway. So this guy here, when it catches the pearl, it wants to send a signal to the next guy, which will be this is going to be light blue. So one more click. This is going to send it to the next guy in the system, which is going to be yellow, and then this guy sends it back to the first. Can I shift? Yes, shift to send it back, and I need this to be orange. So these colors here are for the next controller in line, just to get them prepped. Now, with that done, I've got here my timer, and I'm gonna crouch click it that direction right there, just to use this gap. And there's the input and there's the output of the timer. It is set to 30 ticks. And if the system goes 30 ticks without a signal that things are working, it'll reset. And to reset, here, let's go ahead and 1, 2, 3. This is the light blue. If light blue is constantly sending a pulse, because the light blue controller, not controller, but the Endergenic Generator is catching a pearl, it will keep sending a pulse here, which resets the timer of 30 seconds. When the light blue stops getting a pulse, then 30 seconds later, it'll go again. And I could use any of these, but since this guy starts and then he sends it down there and then goes up here, why not? We'll use this one. And then output-wise, we need the next color in the cycle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, there's yellow. The next one is this green color. I think it's lime. Let's go hit here. Yeah, it's lime. I'm gonna call it green, but it's really lime. This is a signal coming out saying it's been 30 ticks. Send out a new pearl. And the next thing I also need to do is set this one up here. This is the pearl injector. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the green, and pink is the next one after. It's going to send out a pearl when it gets a pink signal. And these colors will make sense in a bit. Anyway, so that's all these are set up and done. Except I need to connect this top set of circuits and these bottom circuits with this middle set of circuits. And it really doesn't matter how you connect it, but I'm going to put those two there and those two there. And that will go ahead and now we all have one complete circuit. Every one of these cables are all connected to another. And boom, we're done. Now, this would work by itself. As long as there's a pearl in place, it should fire and work once we program the computer. But one additional bit I want to set up with this is if this is at a certain level, I want this to run. And for that, I've got my power monitor here. It monitors the amount of RF in an adjacent machine, and it says, do something. So I'm going to come up here and put it up here, and I'm going to select this middle one. It selects a cube around it, a 3x3 cube. And so I'm just selecting this capacitor right there. And I'm telling it that if I've got less than 70% of my capacitor bank emit a signal. So let's go ahead then and send out a cable, and there's the last cable, and so this will come out, and from here, I'm just going to use the next color in line. So we went up to pink. There's pink. Next one is dark gray. And I'm also going to do this dark gray here as well. This gives me an override. This will only fire when I'm below 70%. But say I'm at 80% and I want it to top off, I can come in here and I can turn this on, and that emits a signal, and that's saying fire the pearls. So I always like to have a manual on switch, and this is my manual off switch, because I can just come into here and say off, and it doesn't emit any signal whatsoever. So I always like to have an on and an off switch on my things. All right, so connection-wise, this is all done, and then we just need to program this computer, which unfortunately is already programmed, which is a shame, but I'll talk you through it. So right now, the first thing I did is I selected the AND, where it's looking for two inputs. It's looking for a light gray, or no, this is dark gray. It's looking for this dark gray to say, hey, I've got a power situation, whether the capacitor is below 70% or I've manually thrown the switch. I've got a power situation. Work. And the other option is this line green that says, I've not had a pearl for the last 30 ticks. If both of those are true, no pearl, so the machine isn't running, and I've got a power situation, then set the variable of 0. It really doesn't matter what that is, but we're just saying I need the system to fire off 0. The next thing we want is the fan out, and if the situation, the variable is 0, fire off, then I'm fanning out a signal to all of my controllers, and I'm using the in-out of up because this is connected here to the up. So that's how it's working. So each of my controllers, the orange, magenta, light blue, yellow, they all get a signal, and I'm setting the variable to 1. So it's now in fired off state. At which point, then, if we go next, if we are in, I selected delay for this is the third control piece. If I'm in we're running mode, I have a delay of 2. So give me 2 ticks just to make sure everything's set up there with them. They've all received their pulse. They've already gone into catch mode, so they're ready to catch pearls. If that's true, then send out an IO pulse going up of pink. And there's nothing more in here, just those 3. The pink is, hey, Ender Generator, Pearl Injector, emit a pearl. That's what we're looking for. Now, I don't know why, if I look at the tooltip here, it says there's 2000 RF sitting in here. It isn't. There is no power sitting here. I am going to break these. Why don't I actually use a real tool? I'm going to break these because now I need to get the power out of here once it's produced. And for that, I'm using these cables. Hatch up. All right. I'm going to go ahead and put these HV connectors here. And then you can see where I set these to inputs for them. And if I've got my cable here, we'll go 1 goes to here, 2 goes, well, that's not 2, but I'm just slowly going around so it looks kind of symmetrical. All right, so all of these now will input into my capacitor. And if I look at this, it still says it's got 2 RF or 2000 RF sitting in there. And they could hold 5 million, which is nice. Right now, in the last 5 seconds, it's had 0 pearls going through because I haven't fed this with a pearl. Let's grab some pearls. And I'm going to feed this bad boy with a pearl. And if I stand back, oh, you see the little particles? It's, oh, and there was a little break animation up there. So it cycled through several times and then died. And if we take a look, power-wise, well, we can't see that there. But it fired off. It said, I'm in, if we go back to, not next, previous. If we go back to step 1, I'm in waiting mode because the timer is fired. There's no pearls running around. I'm in a power mode of green or the dark gray because I'm below 70%. So it said it's time to fire a pearl. And off it goes. There's the pearls. It's flying around. If we look at this power-wise, 2,000. Oh, and it broke. So it's not going to catch up to. Let's do one more pearl. And we'll look this direction. Because now we can see the input. 6, 7, 8, 9, almost 10. Yeah, we're hitting it at 9 input, but we've got an output of 8. So that's almost 11,000 right there. And it's still going. That pearl's really going well, which is very nice. One pearl can have a really short life. It can have a really long life. This is one pearl still going, generating all that power for me. That's a good pearl. That's a very good pearl. And it's... Oh, nope, it just died. So that one pearl generated for me a bunch of power. That's very cool. All right, I'm going to dump a bunch of these in here now. And... Oh, it pulled a pearl already. It's flying through there. It's generating. Nice. So the next thing I want to do is feed it a steady supply of pearls. And for that, I'm going to put this... Oh, no, it's the blast furnace. I've got this ender chest here. Oh, white, green, white, because pearls are green-ish. And so it has in here a steady supply of pearls. So let's put you there. Oh, I just saw it break. And we'll put... Nope, wrong. All right. I want to put it here. And I'm going to grab a pearl. I really like to program these things. So it's only going to grab pearls. Even if something else is in here for some strange reason, doesn't matter. It's only going to grab pearls. It has used one pearl from here and one pearl from here. It's hardly using pearls. Let's turn this on. And that should start shoving pearls into the system. Yep, there we go. Pearls are getting fed. All right, so this right here is... Oh, one just died. And the next one got picked up and tossed into the system. It's so cool. So I've had this go up as much as 12. And I'm not sure why it's so low. It's not even hitting 10 right now. I don't care. I'm fine right now. One of the things I can do when I look at this, it says infused is 0%. So one of the things I can do is, as I'm getting those dimensional shards, I can build an infuser. I can fuse this, and I understand it will make it 50% better. So I can produce even more power. So maybe up to 15, 16K as this runs very nicely. We'll see. If we look at the input, yeah, I'm going in by 9K, and it's just racing up. 479 million in there, and now 480. This is fantastic. Now I have to give props to Toddy the Body, who set this up for me the first time when I did this pack 7 years ago. And he explained this to me. He designed this compact little setup, although it was tilted to the left because he wanted the 4 blocks across and 3 tall. I rotated it to the left 90 degrees because this here is 3 wide. I decided to, 3 wide and 4 tall. But it's the exact same setup. And he showed me this. I looked back at my old video, and I said, "Oh, that's how it's done." And he was clear enough. That's. I like this. It works. It works very nicely. And are you done? Oh, yep. This is no longer doing anything there, which is cool. So the output is just my, just the quarry. And so my input is far more than the quarry. Once this hits 70%, the Endergenic Generator down below will stop. And then as if I have a strong enough pull, it will get to the point where it will send a pearl through, which will push it beyond the 70% back up to 71 or whatever it happens to be. It'll push it up above that. And then once that breaks, it'll stop because it won't be in the power mode because it will be above 70. And it'll just sit there and wait until it drops below 7 again, and then it'll fire 1 pearl. And since I have close to 3,000 pearls, I have a lot of power. I'll just go to the end, kill me a bunch more Endermen, or I'll run my my mob farm down below, and I get Enderman dead enough in there that it'll keep me well supplied in pearls. Oh, this is good. I love it. Here, let's back up a little bit there. Felt like I was a little bit too close. Hello. Anyway, let's get out of here. So this works out very, very nicely. It's a cool system. And I think other than the Feed the Beast Infinity Evolved Expert Mode, other than that, I don't think I've ever used this as a power source. I like going solar. I like going things that are very passive that don't require fuel. Kind of like, you know, these water wheels below me. That they're all set up. They just run. Well, this, as long as I've got the Ender Pearls, it'll just run. It's cool. It's very cool. And again, big shout out to Toddy the Body. I'll have a link to one of his videos, that last little piece of connecting it to the whatever power source so it knows when to fire. That's something else somebody else designed, and it works really, really, really well. Oh, you can see there down by my feet, there's the Tesseract that's supplying power, but I also have extracting to the Ender chest. That goes up to my drawers so that it feeds in there. That's the input from the furnace, not furnace, the Ender quarry running in the mining dimension. Anyway, it's cool. It's cool. I've got power. I've got a lot of power, and I tested this earlier. It works. It works very nicely. And you know, if you're on the server and you want this made, you can hire me. I'll come help. Anyway, this has been Grok the DuckFarmer here, early in the morning, but I wanted to get this done, and so if my voice is kind of raspy, it's because it's 6 a.m. and I'm starting the day with a video. Anyway, this has been Grok the DuckFarmer here on the FTOG Feed the Beast Infinity Evolved Expert Mode server, having fun with the Endergenic Generator, and it's just producing gangs of power for me. Just tons of power. Loving it. And thanks for watching.